Oh, by the way, I saw a picture of your husband on your Instagram,
Uh-huh.
but when I looked at it one day, I said, "That doesn't say her husband. That's her cousin." So
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
my
all this
cousin.
time
No,
thought it
yeah.
was your
I don't post my husband on my Instagram. Um, yeah, that was my cousin.
Okay.
DG.
What school did you go to?
Washington State University.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, you were a true West Coast person.
I'm a West Coast person. My husband went to Cal State Fullerton, and then I moved to California, and that's where we were already dating, but that like sealed the deal.
All righty. Okay. Well, I'm ready to rock and roll if you are.
Okay.
Cool beans. Let's get going. Give me 1 second
Okay.
to mute my phone. Hey guys, welcome to my Disney Brain. Today is December the 17th. And guess who's back? Miss Ruby. How are
Back
you
again.
doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Trying to stay warm. I mean, the weather has been tricking us. It's really December. For a while, I didn't think we were going to get December weather, but this last week, I guess, is catching up for the first week.
Yes, for sure. It definitely
Yeah,
feels like winter now.
yeah, yeah. Well, listen, guys, we have a really special show. I think we're gonna try to get everyone caught up and informed, more informed, I should say, as relates to all the announcements that came out last week, Disney's Investors Day. So Ruby and I are going to jump into it, and we're going to give you our top 5 announcements that we're most excited about. There was so much that came out, Ruby, in last week's Disney's Investors Day that we could spend a few shows talking about it, and we're probably going to spend obviously the next several months talking about it because between now and 2024, when all this sort of materializes, there's just going to be a lot of stuff happening. So I know Ruby at Ruby's Best Life has done some commentary on this already. And of course, we at My Disney Brain have done a podcast on Investors Day, but we thought it was a big enough announcement to where we needed to come back and really give you some more supporting details so that you really have a grasp of what's happening and a scope of what really Disney is trying to do.
Right.
So Ruby and I are going to talk about our top 5 announcements that we're most excited about. This in no way is conclusive in terms of everything that's happening with Disney Plus and with Disney in the next few years. So Miss Ruby,
Mm-hmm.
ladies first, you want to get us
Yeah.
started here?
Should we go like least? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah, we can go from 5 to 1.
Yeah. And so for the record, I think my list would have been shorter if we wrote down what we aren't super interested in.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, but so number 5, and I am interested, but I am least of my top 5 is the new Peter Pan that will be coming out, focused on Tinkerbell, and Yara from Grownish and also Blackish will be starring as Tinkerbell, and
Right.
I'm so excited to see it because one, it's going to be live action. From what I was seeing, uh, I saw a lot of information updates about cartoons that were coming out, but this one was showing to be a live action. So I'm really excited to have that. And I kind of paired it with The Little Mermaid as well, because I'm also equally excited to see the live action Little Mermaid. And of course, they announced The Little Mermaid was going to be happening earlier this year, but they kind of went more into detail and put them together as these big, these nostalgic movies that mean so much for us, especially 90s kids. And then even before that. So I'm very excited that they're going to be doing the Peter Pan and the Little Mermaid. I cannot wait to see that drop.
Yeah, I thought I was having this conversation the other day with Nicole and Cord from Road Tripping with the Ruse, and we were talking about being excited about the diversity in both of those particular films that you're talking about. And so yeah, I'm those are on my list as well. Those are on my list also.
Cool.
So those are good. I'm going to tell you kind of the way I saw this. I was looking at this. I said, you know what? Uh, all of these different factions of Walt Disney World are doing their, their different things. Like, for example, I broke mine down. I'm looking at what Pixar is doing. Not that I'm not excited about it, but of all the things, I'm probably, this is my number 5. So there are a remake of, was it Up? There was Up, and then there was some new things coming out, like this one we posted on Instagram this week called Turning Red. It's a story. It's really cute, and I know they're going to sell a ton of merchandise. I can just look at this animated character and just tell they're going to sell a ton of merchandise. But what it is, it's a film about a little girl who, when she loses her temper, she turns into this. Well, she's a teenager, but when she loses her temper or gets excited, she turns into this giant red panda, and it's called Turning Red. And there are a few things that are coming out of Pixar. That's just one of them. The Up piece that I talked about, it's not Up Part 2, but it expands into Doug, which was the dog, the squirrel, dog from Up, and he's gonna have a spinoff of Up. And then there were a few more titles that were listed. One is called Luca. And there's going to be a Lightyear. There's going to be a deep dive into our friend Buzz, just to kind of get into his backstory, how he became Buzz Lightyear. So that's going to be really cool. But that made my 5 of my top 5.
Absolutely. For Buzz, I'm curious if they're going to do like, the whole concept behind the toys. He thinks he crashed, right? So I wonder if like a cartoon of him crashing, like the whole whatever happened to him crashing, or if like the toy is based off a person and it's like more of a what that person's life was. I'm curious to see. They could spin it either way, and I'm sure, like you mentioned, they always do a great job. So good pick.
They do, and that Toy Story has legs. I tell you, what are we on now? Toy Story 4.
Yes, Toy Story 4, and then we had Forky ask a question and the what's it called? The origin story for, not origin story, but Bo, like what happened between Toy Story 1 and 2 and then Toy Story 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of Toy Story out there.
Yeah. So what made your number 4?
I'm going to go with Ahsoka. Number 4 is Ahsoka. And so Ahsoka, as many know, I was her for Halloween this year. I didn't post it because my hair didn't turn out the way. I kind of went cheap. I didn't do the hair piece. I didn't make it. I got a blue wig, and it just wasn't the same. So I was like, let me just not. But yeah, Ahsoka is a character that was created during the Clone Wars and the Rebels series by Dave Filoni. And she's very special and unique because, 1, I like her because she's sassy. 2, she's a complex character, and she was actually Padawan. She was Darth Vader before he became Darth Vader. That was his mentee. That's not the right word, but they call it Padawan, I believe. And so it's really interesting because she's clearly like full of light, but it's throughout the animated series, it shows like her journey to adulthood. And one thing that's very special about Ahsoka is that she is not a Jedi, and she's also not part of the Sith. So she was brought up as a Jedi, but turned away from it because of a series of events. And they actually released some additional episodes where she fought Darth Maul, and that was awesome in the animated series. And so I'm excited for her to have her spinoff. And then also it's supposed to be parallel with what's going on in the Mandalorian timeline. It's around the same time. And I love the Mandalorian. You watch that as well, right? You're invested. Yes.
You know I am. You see my guy. Where is he? Over this way. You see my guy.
Oh yeah. So that's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah. So when I hear people still refer to
Grogu
as Baby Yoda, I'm like, you're not caught up on Mandalorian, my friend. I'm like, we got to stop calling him Baby Yoda. But yeah, I was going to ask you how you felt about what's going on with Mandalorian for this season. Is it thumbs up for Ruby, or what do you think?
Yeah. So spoiler alert, it's thumbs up. I actually did not love the Ahsoka episode. I'll be honest. I felt like, man, could she have just trained him and then we would have avoided what's happening right
Yeah.
now. But I like it. I mean, I'm always feeling like really good about every episode. I don't love the name choice, but hopefully they do a little bit for Grogu, but hopefully they do a little backstory on that, as we learn more about his character. And I don't know if you've heard this, again, spoiler alert, but there's a theory out there that the Mandalorian is not actually about the Mandalorian. It's about Grogu becoming a Mandalorian. And I thought that was so interesting. So we'll see.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard a couple different things, that he's going to turn to the dark side now because the Empire has him and these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
I really love the fact that Star Wars is so rich in characters that we can have spinoffs with Ahsoka, probably with Boba Fett,
Mm-hmm.
now with Grogu. I mean, it's so many. Listen, when I first saw someone who looked like the Mandalorian, it was Boba Fett, but you got into his story in this last, well, again, spoiler alert, in this last episode, and I thought that was really, really exciting. But that is on my list, but it's not my number 4. But I really agree with everything you're saying.
Okay.
My number 4 comes from the Disney television studios, and I like everything that they're doing. These are shows that I am in tune with and do love, one of which I grew up loving, and that is Swiss Family Robinson. There was right. It's like there was nothing better for me when I was a kid. Sundays, Disney, the Wonderful World of Disney came on where I lived, and I lived in a place that had 3 television channels.
Mm-hmm.
So Sunday night at 7 was a very special time. And many times you would see Swiss Family Robinson Adventures and things like that. And I just remember it from being a kid. You can just be spellbound and taken away into these stores because it's full of adventure. It's got a Disney magic and places that we've never seen in stories that we've never heard. Now, coupled with that, the Disney studios, television studios, are doing a revamp of Beauty and the Beast. And this is a prequel series. So you can be on the lookout for that. And then lastly, I'm not a huge fan of these, but if you twist my arm, I will watch them. And that is Percy Jackson. The Percy Jackson series, they're doing Percy Jackson and the Olympian. So those came in at my number 4.
Mm. I actually liked Percy Jackson movies. I don't know. It's kind of my alley of like adventure and mystical type things. So I liked it, but a lot of people didn't. That's why they didn't even finish the series. So let's see what they do with that.
Yeah. Now,
And
don't get me wrong. I'll watch it. I like anything in that genre. It's just for some reason, I don't know what I checked out on. I'll be honest with you, and I've got to be fair to them. There's nothing they've done. I just haven't completely sold into it. So, but those are my number 4.
I like that you're breaking it up by like categories, by the way. I think that's cool. That was a better approach.
No. I figured what we would do is kind of give a high level and then kind of narrow down onto some specifics that we like you're doing. So I think combined, the audience can get a feel for both, because the studios, they're these different structure studios, and they're going to bring us this, and this one's going to bring us that. Star Wars is going to come from Lucas, and Pixar is going to bring us, whatever. But like I said, we'll come back a few more times and we'll jump into a little deeper as well. So.
Right. Yeah. My number 1 is a category. Just yeah. So
I bet you I know what it is.
Yeah, you probably can guess it. So we're on 3 now, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So number 3 for me is gonna be Hocus Pocus. It's like I'm so excited, but I'm so terrified too, because that movie is so special to me. And so I continue the story, and it sounds like they're getting all 3 people to come back as the Sanderson sisters. So I'm on board for it. For sure. I can't wait. I wonder if they'll have different kids though. I don't know.
Yeah, they may have to. Those kids are
They're grown now.
Yeah, those kids are grown now.
Yeah.
So the first time this happened today, we've matched up. So this is my number three too.
Okay, good.
This is my number three too. And Hocus Pocus comes from Walt Disney Studios, the motion pictures production division. And I, like you, fancy Hocus Pocus. During Halloween, I probably watched it, I don't know, 10 times.
Hmm.
10 times. And I just love it. If it comes on, it's kind of like right now with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and of course it's not Disney, but I love it. How can you not watch it if it's on? It's like you
Right.
got to watch it. Like no matter, it could be 10 minutes to being over or just started, 10 minutes. I'm gonna turn it on, and my wife is like, "Are you watching that again?" I'm like, how can you not want to watch this? This is classic.
It's like literally, yeah. It's almost like what's that word? Oh. When you do it every time, tradition. It's
right.
tradition.
It is a tradition. Yeah. It is a tradition. And I'm going to tell you how far back I go with National Lampoon Vacation. I literally have in my possession a VHS tape from when I was in college for National Lampoon Christmas Vacation. That's how long I've been watching this.
Yeah. So do you watch the VHS or do you go for?
No, I don't. Well, what's funny is I have the VHS tape, but I don't have a player. Well, I take that back. In my theater downstairs, I have a combo, like a DVD, and it has a VHS component. So I guess I could play it there. But no, I don't even buy DVDs anymore. So
yeah, I know. I was just thinking about that. Since we're in quarantine, I'm like, should I just get rid of these? But some of them are so special.
Oh no, yeah, no, don't get rid of them. I tell everybody this. My daughter has, when she was little, we started buying her Disney stuff, and she has Aristocats and all the Pocahontas and Robin Hood, and I mean, she's got the old school stuff. And when she moved out, she was like, "Dad, I'm coming to get my VHS." I was like, I guess they are yours. So
I guess they are. I just say it to my mom. I'm like, so I'm gonna come get that. Don't give it away. Give it away, but I know she gave it away too. And I told them, I was like, hey, that's actually mine. So I'm gonna come to them in a little while. Yeah.
Funny. My daughter actually took a few to college with her. I have to tell you that story sometime. But to finish up on my number three, the Walt Disney Studios Motion Picture Division is not only bringing us Hocus Pocus, but they're bringing us a few more classics. Number one is Three Men and a Baby, which I don't dislike.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool. I don't dislike it. What do you think about Cheaper by the Dozen?
I think that was a cute movie. I didn't rewatch it like a lot. I think I've seen it maybe twice in my whole life. Mm-hmm. But I'll watch it again. I mean,
well, I'm going to tell you why I think you're going to watch it again. It's because it's featuring now Kenya Barris and Gabrielle Union.
Kenya's the dad?
Yeah.
He's funny.
Yeah.
He cracks me up. I watch his other show on Netflix. Mm-hmm. The name escapes me right now, but he's super funny. So, okay. Yeah. I'll watch it then. I'll watch it.
So also they're going to bring a Sister Act, which here is where me and my daughter differ on this interpretation of how this is going to be produced and how it's going to be starred. The article that I have says is starring Disney legend Whoopi Goldberg, who is and Sister Act also, just FYI, is going to be produced by Tyler Perry. My daughter seems to think Whoopi's not going to be in it, but she's coming back to help produce it. So we got to get some clarification at some point. But either way, Sister Act is going to have some additional legs coming soon from Walt Disney Studios Motion Picture. So what do you think about that?
That was an honorable mention for me on my list. I'm super excited about it. I used to love Sister Act. The music, I mean, I think everybody goes and sings Lauryn Hill's song from there, like still. I think that's
Yeah.
going to be great. And I actually thought it was a good pairing, not just because Tyler Perry is an amazing producer, but because he started off in doing plays and like, showbiz. It was like musicals basically. And
Yeah.
Sister is like there is talking to it, but it does have definitely musical concepts to it. So I think that that's going to be a good match. I expect to see Whoopi on the screen. I think she's
I
still
do too. I do
so.
too.
Yeah, she
She's
probably
doing
will.
another. I just saw the commercial before we came on here. It's called The Sand or something like that, where she plays an older sort of seer or soothsayer in that particular. So she's still acting. I mean, she's still doing this stuff. So I expect to see her back. And just to close out my three, I'll just say this: we're going to get a dose of the nostalgic through Walt Disney Studios motion picture production group, because we're going to get to see Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers come back, Pinocchio, like you said, Peter Pan and Wendy, Disenchanted, not Enchanted, but Disenchanted. And we're going to see the Little Mermaid also with,
Yeah.
a vastly different cast of characters. So I'm excited to see all of that. Prequel to Lion King. I mean, you're talking about quite some exciting stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I am too. It's going to be
So
really
that rounds up my three. We get
okay.
close to one. So what is your number two?
My number two is Loki. I am so
Oh, cool.
excited for Loki, and it's funny because when Avengers finished and they started to roll out, they've been talking about Marvel Phase 4 for a while. I wasn't super excited when I heard like the Winter Soldier,
Mhm.
um, you know, Disney Plus. I wasn't actually excited for Loki when I heard it was being announced, and I wasn't excited for WandaVision. I was interested, but I wasn't excited. When I saw the trailer for Loki, I just remembered his character and how I was talking to my cousin about this. They're linking almost like weird things that have happened in history and using
Mhm.
him as the reason it happened. So that's why in the trailer you'll see him in different clothes. It looks like he's like in different eras. And
Mhm.
he's supposed to be the god of mischief, so that makes complete sense that he would be causing scenes all over the place in the timeline. And
Right.
I think the actor itself is amazing. I think he does a really good job, and I'm hoping they throw Thor in there a couple times because he's awesome too. So yeah, I'm so excited for Loki. I am so excited for it.
Well, I agree. I agree with everything you said. My number two is coming from a remake of one of my most favorite animated movies at Walt Disney World. It comes through Walt Disney Animated or Animation Studios, and that is Zootopia. I love Zootopia.
It's a good one. Tell me
I
more about that one.
love
What's the premise?
the new one. So
Mhm.
I don't know, but what it says is that it's sort of like a so it doesn't give a big description. It just says sort of one of these get ready for more Zootopia. Matter of fact, it calls it Zootopia Plus.
Hmm.
So what I would guess is that Zootopia Plus is going to pair up Nick again, with oh my God, how can I just forget the little bunny's name? It just
I don't know.
literally just left my mind. Nick and it'll come back to me. But I would just assume they're going to go on more adventures and maybe add, to that character base, because the characters are so cute and cuddly that
Yeah.
Nick and those guys have their own parade, or they did. I don't know if they're part of the cavalcades or not, but they became very big characters for the guest experience at Disney at Disney parks. But in
Yes.
addition to that, the Walt Disney Animated Studios or Animation Studios are going to bring us some new things. For example, they revealed that there's film that's going to be called Raya and the Last Dragon. Raya and the Last
Mhm.
Dragon, and it's going to debut. A lot of things are going to debut, but this is going to debut on Disney Plus Premiere. around March of 2021. And there was Encanto, which is going to star Tony Award winner Lin-Manuel from Hamilton. So I'm really excited about that as well. I think now that I know who this guy is, I always look for stuff that he's in because I'm like, I know it's going to be good. Because that guy, after I watched Hamilton, I was like, where has he been or where have I been? Because I like his stuff. But yeah, so that's my number 2, but mostly because of Zootopia.
Okay. So circling back on that, do you think this is a complicated thing? I'm trying to say in words. I'm trying to watch the recap from the investors meeting. Someone asked the CEO what was going on with the premiere thing. Is that something they were going to continue? And it sounded like it was pretty successful in Milan. And then clearly, if they're going to be doing that again, it did enough. We have heard stories not specific to Disney, but to HBO Max. Wonder Woman is going to be rolling out on HBO Max. And I also heard that Denzel Washington has a new movie that was supposed to premiere in theaters, but it's also going to premiere on HBO Max as well. So with the premium aspect in the Disney Plus platform, and the virus was almost like a perfect storm, I kind of wonder, is that going to be just the future? Like, are theaters gonna continue? It's such a complicated thing. What do you think? What is your spider senses saying?
Well, I hope that theaters continue because there's an experience that you can only get in the theater. Mm-hmm. I love theater so much that when I was looking for the house that we live in now, that was one of 2 requirements that I had. I needed a basement where I could have a theater because watching a movie in a theater environment is much different than watching it on your TV.
Yes.
You're only going to get a portion of what those directors and producers intended if you're watching on your TV. I don't care if it's 4K or not. You don't have the sound and all of that to go with it. You got to have it all, particularly for Star Wars and things like that. All of that works together. Now, given this pandemic where the priority are people, yeah, I think you back off of that a little bit and you make concessions and you say, okay, life goes on. How do we Band-Aid this or fill the gap, or even how do we reimagine this? And Disney has done a great thing in saying, okay, we've got this vehicle. Thank God, because, literally months before the pandemic, they become primary shareholders for Hulu. And then they launched Disney Plus just, almost a year earlier. And they have this thing that they can pour now $8 to $9 billion into and see. Listen, they're talking about having more subscribers. Netflix has 160 million subscribers, somewhere in the neighborhood. Disney said in the Investors Day, they're talking about having 220 to 230 million subscribers by 2024. That will, obviously Netflix is going to grow too, but at that pace, I don't know.
Yes.
Of the 14 to 16 billion that Disney is putting into rework and all these other things, over half of that's going to Disney Plus. And all these things being delivered to the end user, I mean, it's catching people's attention. Literally Disney just put up a challenge to Netflix. Like, listen, here's what we're doing for the next 4 years. And we plan on capturing a large share of this market to the tune of 230 million subscribers. So I assure you, they got Netflix attention because Netflix doesn't have theme parks that can come back. Right. They don't have merchandise. They don't have stores. They only have Netflix. And here's Disney saying, we're going to come in and we're going to do this way. Now, personally, if I'm subscribing to your service, I don't want to pay extra for anything. I'm paying you already. Like Mulan comes out, show it to me. Yeah. Don't charge me $34 on top of my $7. but I get it because this is where we are. This is a very long answer to your short question, so I apologize.
No, it's something I've been pondering, so I'm glad you're giving a long answer because I think it deserves that. It's complicated. It's a complicated answer.
It is, because right now they're still hemorrhaging from the parks, and hemorrhaging may be strong, but certainly they're not are gaining any revenues from the parks. They are maybe in some instances breaking even at some parts, but with Disneyland being closed at a time of the year where it's the busiest time of the year, I certainly know that they need those revenues. So how do you get it? You get it from what's working. What's working? Disney Plus. Right. Disney Plus has more subscribers now than they thought they would have 4 years from now. So it's working better than they thought. Now, to your point, the pandemic was sort of this perfect storm. And I think I may have shared with you before that the end user for Disney Plus looks a little different than they actually anticipated. They anticipate the end user being parents with the kids. And
sorry, my thing switched over. What happened here? Sorry.
You okay?
There we go.
So the end user for Disney Plus looks a little different than Disney anticipated, or the large majority of end users, in that right now it looks like the same end user that will be enjoying Hulu or Netflix or ESPN or whatever, because it's a single person with no kids. They're enjoying, and this is what's scaring Netflix, they're enjoying the content. And outside of HBO, which probably is running second to Disney, I don't know anyone else that has more self-produced content. Like, that's their stuff. Disney's vault is there.
It's quality. I think Prime was kind of trying, but I don't feel like they cared that much. I mean, The Boys was a really good series. It's explicit. It's not family friendly, but yeah, when I go on Prime, if I'm like, Netflix, I've watched that, or Disney Plus, I don't really want to go in there. There's not a ton of things I see. Mostly it's like old stuff that I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch that again. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Disney is definitely giving them the run for their money, and they have the ability to do that with the leveraging of the merchandise and all the different platforms they have. So we'll see what happens. We will see.
Well, listen, the people that are going to benefit are us. I think the end users are going to benefit. The consumers are going to benefit. Anytime I would see Universal and Disney getting these price wars, I know I'm going to benefit, because I'm the end user and they're trying to capture my attention. So now with Netflix, Prime, to me, Hulu and Disney Plus are the same thing. I mean, they're the same company basically. And who else do you have? I mean, you got these little things popping up, Peacock and some of these guys, but they're not trying to compete in the larger scale of things. They're just trying to get a small portion of a niche.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. For me, I don't want theaters to close down, but as a mom of small kids, having the option for a virtual, and we have blackout blinds in our upstairs man cave. My husband's man cave. That's where we watch most of our movies, in a nice couch and good sound. And it's nowhere near a theater, but that helps, because otherwise, I don't know, I can never go see a movie when it first comes out. Like, I usually see it when it's almost out of the theater, because with kids and stuff. I hope it doesn't close down either.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Did I give you my number 2?
Yeah, I think we were talking about Zootopia.
Zootopia, okay.
That's kind of what came from. Oh, and Raya.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're down to number 1.
Number 1. So number 1, as I mentioned before, to me is a category, and the category is diversity, and finally giving some of our girls the shine they deserve. So I am super excited for Tiana to finally get her series, and Moana to finally get her series. And I think that representation matters. And I feel like Disney is actually standing behind their statements they made, earlier this year, that they were going to make sure they just diversified, make sure that they had representation. So I'm so excited for that. I don't normally watch, which is so contradictory because I just said I watched Clone Wars, but I don't normally watch series cartoons. I
Mhm.
prefer live action, but I think it's a starting point. And, even with right before Disneyland closed, they had a new uh, evening or even daytime parade that they were doing, and they were finally giving Moana her own float. And I was thinking, gosh, why did it take so long? That movie was excellent. It did well
Yep.
in theaters. Why do they drag their feet on these types of things? Because Rapunzel, that movie got everything and its own tower right away, in Disney World. So I'm kind of like, all right, but I'm glad they're making the right move. And I think that they are moving towards, not only just saying we're going to, be um, a corporation that has representation. They're
Right.
actually backing it up with the content that we're releasing, giving major roles to people. And I think that that's really important because there's been so much like controversy over Black Panther and, what they're going to do with that. And I feel like people, what they don't understand is in some communities, the representation is so small that we have to fight and argue about the one or two shows we have. And with Disney making more of a stance and saying, no, we're going to recreate these characters to have some melanin, to be a little bit different looking, to have a diverse cast that everybody feels like is represented. That's the right thing to do. So number one category is diversity, but specifically I'm excited about Tiana and Moana. And those are
Well,
my five. What
listen,
do you
you're not
think?
going to get any arguments with me. I love to see not only the diversity, but uh, the female roles also are a big deal. And you're right. I think it's important for a company the size of Disney to not only take a stand, but to actually stand behind what they're saying and actually put some, some the money with their mouth is. So
Mhm.
you have Little Mermaid, where I think her name. I keep asking the girls how to say it. I think I said Haley, but I think it's Holly.
Oh,
Holly Bailey is
Chloe and
gonna.
Halle. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have to say them
and
together. And Halle, the sisters. Yeah.
yeah. I love those girls. They're actually from Atlanta, and then Diggs, who has been in Hamilton and also Blackish, is going to voice Sebastian. So I like that piece. Of course, Tiana and the Sister Act piece we talked about. I was just excited to see there is going to be a Black Panther 2. So a lot of these things, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I can't wait to see them come out. And I know they're going to go well, and I think they'll be really well received in a time where folks are looking for content like this. Um, I'm excited about it. I think Disney's doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I almost want to just agree with you and say, hey, that's my top two because I may sound less than now.
No, go for it.
Well, mine I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so mine is Star Wars. And so Lucasfilm, I absolutely love Star Wars, and I spent the last 3 years, going from being introduced to Rey and seeing Luke back on the screen again. It's become a tradition to go see the latest Star Wars movie during Christmas week, and
Mhm.
they have not disappointed. So we can look forward to, when you start talking about Loki, it just makes me, because I'm in the Marvel universe as well. It's just that I grew up with Lucasfilm. I even went through the three movies that we never talk about because they're so terrible. But listen, I have, again, I'm dating myself, but I have a trilogy. I kid you not, 2 rooms over in the studio. I have this case, and it has, because I'm a big Cowboys fan, but they're all VHS tapes because it's how long it's been since we went to the Super Bowl. And I have beside that the original Star Wars, the three. I said
Okay.
three, Return of the Jedi, and that, which is my favorite. So I'm big on Star Wars. So to see the amount of content that we're going to get from Lucas films, from Walt Disney Studios, is very exciting to me. So to say, hey guys, we're going to send you Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to send you, what you said before. I'm going to mispronounce the name, but is it
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You say it much better than me. Rangers of the New Republic, Visions. You got
The Bad
also.
Batch. I can't wait for that one. The
I
Bad
know,
Batch.
right?
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome too.
Rogue Squadron. You're gonna get, in addition to Star Wars, you're gonna get some new installments from Indiana Jones series, which I also love. And let me ask you this: did you ever watch this movie? It is probably more for late 70s, 80s people like me versus 90s. But I watched it because it's on Disney Plus. I saw it. I said, "Oh my God, no way!" I'm old enough now to remember things that I've forgotten. Like this, like I was like, "Oh my God, I used to watch that movie all the time." Like if it hadn't came up, it would have just not been in my mind, right? But when I saw it, I was like, it just took me back. Like, oh my God, I don't believe they have this. I remember I used to watch this. It literally had left my mind, and I saw it, and I said, I can't believe I forgot I used to love this movie. So anyway, that's what happens when you
Wait,
get
where
old.
was the movie? Did I miss it?
Willow.
Willow. Okay, yeah, I remember Willow. That's a cute one. I just recently watched it on Disney Plus.
I love it.
Main guy coming back. I think I heard that. Cool.
Listen, I love this movie. It is the quirkiest animation because he's supposed to be a magician or someone trying to be a magician. But I used to watch it when I was a kid, and I used to watch it all the time. But that was top of the line when I was a kid. Like that was, and now you see it. It's a little quirky, but I absolutely love it, and I can watch movies like that all day long. And so that's what we're going to get coming back from Lucasfilm, and I'm excited about it. The amount of content that's going to be pouring out. Here's what I say, and listen. I'll speak for Ruby. I think we're both would agree. We're not getting commission from Disney Plus. We're not getting royalty. Yeah, we're actually doing the opposite. We're sending them money monthly to be able to do this. But what I was going to say is, if you've not subscribed to Disney Plus yet, like I don't know what else to tell you. Like, if you feel like Netflix is a good deal. And Netflix at this point, to my surprise, I didn't even know that went up. I was talking to Nicole LaCour the other day, and I said one day I happened to look at my bill from Netflix. I said, "What happened to $7.99 or $8?"
That's what I don't like about them. They'll just like go increase the price on you, and since they didn't set contracts, they can. Whereas Disney Plus, I got in at the D23 deal, so I feel like we pay like $3 a month. Like it was so cheap, and for like 3 years or something like that. And so, but in 3 years, I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be $20 or something.
Netflix is like $15. I'm like, really? That's what I'm paying for Netflix? I didn't even know. But anyway, I don't watch Netflix half the amount of time that I watch Disney Plus. And I sort of have I'm not going to get into this long because we're almost done. The girls and I were doing a show and we were talking about, somehow this came up with Netflix, but I have this block. If I get inundated with all these recommended for you, your list, continue watching these different genres, it's too much. It's too much. And I get overload and I spend more time looking for a movie than I would watching a movie. And that's how I feel when I go to the Netflix menu. Yeah, it's too much. Hulu is like, okay, here's 4. Like, all right, dude, concentrate on these 4. You want to see these 4? If not, flip over. And I can do that. But when I got a list of stuff, I'm like, it's way too much. Disney works perfect for me because I've got it set up where I go in, I pretty much know what I'm going to look for. It's not overwhelming, and I can break it up by categories, and I can kind of go to where I need to go. The point is saying all that is saying this. I feel really good about 2021. I feel really good about what's happening in the world. And I think we're going to get back to, it's not going to be what we consider normal, but I think we're going to be able to get back together and we're going to see things begin to flourish again. But until then, if you're looking to have programming and things like that, I really seriously think, and this is not just me being a homer, I just really think Disney Plus is a good investment, particularly if you have kids and particularly if you like good programming. And guess what? You don't like after the first month, you just stop it. But I'm telling you, I don't think you can go wrong. So
Yeah.
that's my spiel for today.
Well said. Well said. 2021 is looking more and more promising. It's almost like you're at the end of the finish line, you know, we're all counting down, and then it's like good news, good news, good news. And it's refreshing after so much like anxiety and bad news and kind of like what is going on. So I agree with you full 100%.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's hard to find a negative story on Disney Plus. That's the other thing I like about it. That is, it's good stories. We'll close out with this. I want to do an honorable mention because it's from close to my hometown. It's actually on Disney Plus now that my family and I are going to watch this weekend. And it is about Clemson University. Actually, it's about a kid who went to Clemson University. I grew up about 30 minutes away from Clemson University. My mom still lives in South Carolina where I grew up. So when I go home from Atlanta to where I'm from, which by the way isn't even on the map, I actually have to go through Clemson to get there. And I've been to Clemson many times, done conferences there for some of the youth that we mentor. And this story to come out of such a small area, Clemson has only been relevant, honestly, for the last 4 or 5 years because of football. But I thought for Disney to look at this story and to look at this kid, this diverse kid, to be able to tell this story, I said, this is pretty awesome. Because guess what? This is not the first time that's happened. This is just the first time someone's told the story.
What's the movie called?
It's called Safety. And it's
about, on the top. Yeah. Is it new? Because I saw it showing up when I went in there.
It just came out. I think it probably just came up this past weekend on Disney Plus. And the thing is, it's about this kid whose mother is in transition or into some sort of therapy or trouble. I can't remember exactly what it was. But he has his scholarship to go to Clemson to play ball. But he ends up having to bring his little brother with him to take care of him while he's going to school and while he's playing ball. So wow. It's a very heartwarming story. I know the area, and I'm very excited to see it. And I'm very thankful that someone like Disney thought enough of a story like this to tell it nationally and internationally. So
that's good. I'll have to add that to my list too. I didn't know what it was about. I saw it on the thing. Like it shows like new content. So thank you. I'll have to check it out too. Awesome.
Anything else, Ms. Ruby, you wanted to add before we get off? I'm always thankful that
I think that honorable mention. I'm not going to go into them, but I did have Cruella on here. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I'm excited for Cruella. But they've had the marketing out for that for years. Pinocchio as well. And then also Jungle Cruise. I mean, I don't know what. It's kind of like the New Mutants situation where why is it sitting on the shelf for 100 years? I don't really know. But I'm excited for that stuff too. I'm looking forward to it. Not excited, but interested. So, yeah.
Well, think about it like this. I did some research into, well, actually, I take that back. I was listening to a podcast which launched me into research about Haunted Mansion. I didn't realize how long the facade, the building for the Haunted Mansion was set empty and vacant in Disneyland before they actually decided what to do with it. It was there for a long time. I mean, long enough for it to develop a urban story around it. Like people started developing stories around what could be happening in the building because it sit there for so long. So we see what came out of that, nothing but good. So I'm just, thinking that everything that's going to come from this point on is going to be good news. And I'm excited to see it.
The plan.
Yeah. And we'll come back. We'll do more. I mean, there'll be more announcements and more updates and things like that. We didn't talk anything about Disneyland this time, Ruby, but the next time we come back, let's see if we can get the folks to update on that. I don't think much has transpired.
The biggest thing I would just say is that I've noticed even in stores, so they're selling the balloons that you can usually get in the park now as on Buena Vista Street. And then I went to the Disney store recently and I saw it was looking like a lot of the merchandise that they thought they were going to be able to sell this summer or in the parks is now in the store. you know how like usually before, like if you didn't go to the park, you couldn't get that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good. I mean, it's good for the consumer, I guess, but it's kind of sad that they didn't get to,
Good
open
yeah.
and sell that stuff when they thought they were going to. But yeah, we can talk all about it next time. So
Okay.
I'll see
Well,
you in
guys,
January then, I guess.
what was that?
I said I'll see you in January then, I guess.
You will. And I was going to tell you Merry Christmas, an event that we do not talk or see each other before the end of the year. And to our listeners as well, thank you for joining us for this podcast. And please make sure that you're checking out not only my Disney Brain subscribing to us, but go over to YouTube and check out Miss Ruby's YouTube channel at Ruby's Best Life. And that is spelled RUBYS _ best, BEST _ life. And there's some really good content there. And I think Ruby's putting up videos every week. So go and check those out.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Kelly. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your family.
Thank you so much. Same to you. And to our listeners, check us out next week. We've got new content coming. Thank you, guys.